For you. I moved mountains. For you. Natalia. I moved mountains. This is what my father used to say whenever she tried to kill herself. My sister wasn't very good at it. Suicide. Her attempts were half-hearted. Lazy. Considerable effort. However survivable. A slice diagonally across her forearm. Skimming the nerve. A bottle of Advil and half a Moscow Mule. A noose from a bathrobe. Fuzzy and pink. Discarded when she lost her wits. No matter what. Without fail. He was there. When she hunched over the toilet. Pills and vodka staining her esophagus. My father sat with her and rubbed her back. Staunched her wounds with his favorite dish rag stained with her blood from the attempt prior. She cried. Slumped against his chest. And my father would hold her. Why do you do this? Natalia. Voice of an angel. Dripping with honey. And cinnamon sugar. For you. Natalia. I moved mountains. My father. Raspy and jagged. Smoker's lungs. And he would hold her until the honey ran dry. And Natalia's sobs subsided into soft coughs and long, deep breaths laced with excess tears. He would wrap her in a blanket and tuck her into bed, leaving a nightlight on. Like she was a toddler who just had a nightmare. My father did not move mountains for me. Hell. He'd barely kick a pebble. But that was okay. Because I took care of myself. So Dad could take care of my sister. So Natalia could take care of Dad. In some twisted way. By letting him hold her and whisper into her hair. We each extended an olive branch and meet in the middle of a disgruntled family tree. Me. Natalia. And Dad. I experienced my first heartbreak at 15. When the boy I thought I loved asked me to the movies. And my heart nearly exploded in my chest. Until I saw his friend with the iPhone filming. Smirking. And the boy broke into a nervous laughter. Smiled with those infatuating dimples I had learned to adore. I'm sorry. Anya? It was a dare. But hey. We're friends. Friends play jokes. Right? Laughter and smiles. A small pat on the back. I made it to the bathroom before I began to cry. When I got home from school. Natalia was at the kitchen counter. Gripping her mug so tight her knuckles were white. It was strange. Seeing Natalia alone. Because she seemed to always be flocked by my father. Doting and stroking her hair. He never left her alone. Choosing to work from home so he could monitor her as needed. Nat. I said. And her head snapped to look at me. A lock of chestnut hair falling into her gaze. She seemed damn tired. With dark bags under her eyes and cracked lips. Tear-stained cheeks. But what caught her attention were my bloodshot eyes and sniffles. Because I never cry. Ever. I saved those tears for Natalia. As if the emotions in our family were withdrawn from a bank. And damn Nat with whatever the hell mental illness she had was spending all of our funds. You're upset. She responded. And her voice is hoarse. What happened? Raised scars popped out from the bottom of her sleeves. In an early stage of healing. And I winced. It's stupid. I respond. Some guy at school asked me out as a dare. Stupid. It's fine. I'm fine. My voice was breaking. Where's Dad? Natalia did not break her gaze. He had to run an errand. Said he'd be right back. Think he's starting to trust me a bit more. Anya? You're sad. I can tell. I fought the urge to snap. No shit. Sherlock. Instead. I took a deep breath. It's whatever. I'll get over it. You know. Stupid high school drama. Natalia leaned on her elbows. Gently pushing the mug aside. Would you like me to make the pain go away? I was frustrated now. She's never given a shit about my pain. Neither had Dad. And I certainly didn't need her help when I've been taking care of myself for 15 years. Listen. Natalia. I steadied my voice. I really don't need the whole big sister advice thing right now. Sorry. She shook her head. No advice. Come here. Duck it. Whatever. Tentatively. I approached. Sat on the stool at the counter next to her. And waited for her next move. She took a deep breath. Rolled her shoulders back. And seemed to steel herself. Give me your hands. She told me. And I squinted at her. Unmoving. She sighed. Anya? Just do it. I laced my hands in hers. They were soft. Moisturized. And gentle. For a second. I could not believe that these were the same hands that slashed her wrists. Shakily opened bottles of pills. Tied nooses from scarves. Hands of a princess. Go figure. Get ready. She said. This is stupid now. Get ready for what? A hug? Stupid hand squeeze like in the movies. Kissing my forehead. Stroking my hair like. Jesus Christ. I screamed. But Natalia held my hand steadfast. It was as if electricity was pulsing down my arms. Through my wrists. Branching. Across my hands and shooting through my fingertips. Into hers. And I saw everything. I saw my mother. Sick in her hospital bed. Cannulas piercing her thin flesh. And an oxygen mask engulfing her tender hands. That stupid clinical smell and steady beat. I saw the blue in her eyes grow duller by the second. And I saw my father holding both her hands in one of his own. Sobbing. My small fingers graced the bottom of the hospital blanket. Afraid. Natalia's hand rested on my shoulders. I saw my father. A shell of the man he is today. Taking swigs from the bottle. And smashing a hole in the drywall. I saw his chest heave. Up and down. Heart beating out of his chest so quickly that I felt the compelling urge to just reach into his rib cage and pull it out. Tuck it under a blanket and let it rest. Even for a mere moment. Natalia in the bathtub. The water dark pink. Dripping out the sides of the tub. Blood oozing from the diagonal gash on her left wrist. My father yelling. Get out. Anya. Get out. And slamming the door in my face. I saw myself in the mirror. Grabbing my love handles after seeing those pretty girls on Instagram in their bikinis over spring break. The small burn on my hand when I touched the burner frying rice. The one that left me with a scar. And I saw the boy who rejected me today. The playfulness in his eyes. I heard the girls snickering behind us. Loud. So loud. Then, as quick as it was, Natalia's hands were gone from my own. And I felt nothing. I felt light. The boy didn't matter. The bathtub was a vague dream. And the only thoughts of my mother were dreamy and calm. Simple memories outside of a hospital bed. My face inadvertently cracked into a smile. I laughed. It was almost as if I was high. Like I wanted to run a marathon or plan a wedding or just snuggle on the couch over some ice cream with a lover and enjoy their company. Natalia. I sputter. What on earth was that? It seemed impossible. But the bags on her eyes seemed to be darker. And her skin was even paler than prior. She gave me a small smile. It'll last for about a day. She said. If you need another fix. Come back to me. But I'd prefer if you waited until something big happened. You don't want to get dependent like Dad. I must have been gaping. Because I couldn't find it in me to respond. And. She continued to talk. I'm an emotional conduit. Dad figured it out soon after Mom died. He was blasted one night. And I came to comfort him. Held his hands. I just wanted him to feel better. I guess. I didn't even realize what I had done until I felt everything. His pain and anguish and lust for Mom. And he felt nothing? I was silent for a second. So, what you just did for me. Natalia interrupts. I took your pain. Temporarily. It'll come back. Maybe not as strong. I see what you just saw. And heard. And felt. She chuckled humorlessly. Some sort of superpower. Am I right? I processed these words. Slowly. And you do this every day for Dad? Natalia nods. It's like a drug for him. She said. You were younger. When it happened. But after Mom passed. He was an absolute wreck. Once he found out I could carry the burden for him, well, that was the end of my childhood. I suppose. Suddenly. Her eyes were welling up. She looked up at me. Her bottom lip quivering. Anya? I'm so tired. Every day. It's like I'm shouldering 100 pounds of bricks. And her words caught in her throat. I can't do this anymore. But as you could probably tell, I'm shit at killing myself. I just don't have the guts to go through with it all the way. I shook my head. Frantically and with purpose. The euphoria of Natalia's powers on me flooding through my system. We can stop Dad. I said. Get him into therapy or something. Nat shook her head. It's too powerful. Anya? He'll never let me go. She thought for a second. Tilted her head. Unless you help me. What are you talking about? I questioned. Isn't it obvious? Anya? Help me die. This is not a life I can live. I am run dry. I can't do it by myself. Please. No. God no. Nat. I can't. You're my sister. I can't do that. I can't kill anyone. I can feel myself start to cry. Tears of fear. Breaking through whatever trance Nat's hands had just put on me minutes ago. Anya? She whispered. Anya? Look at me. I did. Her collarbone jutted out, catching on her sports bra. 2 sizes too big. Her cheekbones were gaunt. Her hair was falling out. Heavy bags cluttered under her eyes. Permanently bloodshot. She was shaking. Trembling. I noticed a bald spot near the crown of her head. Her hair was falling out. In clumps. In a horrible sort of way. She reminded me of my mother. Before she drew her last breath. Once the ventilator was gone and the tubes were pulled from her arms. I thought of Natalia in the bathtub. Over the toilet. With my father. Why do you do this? Anya? She soothed. Leaning towards me. Anya? I'm so tired. I am cursed. The look in her eyes broke my heart. I nodded before it registered. Quickly. Before Dad gets home. I was on autopilot. Moving around the counter. Reaching for the big kitchen knife in the wooden knife block. It shook in my hand. I'm killing someone. I'm killing my sister. I cannot go back. Why am I doing this? Why is my hand moving? Steadying my grip on this weapon. I don't ask these questions. I asked. Are you sure? Natalia smiled. Quivering with relief. Please. She whispered. I had never stabbed someone before. I wasn't sure how. When Natalia moved to sit on the couch. I followed. Knife in hand. She closed her eyes. And I held my breath. Hesitated. The knife pushed against her ribcage. Poking through her shirt. Drawing out blood. But barely. Anya? Please. Natalia begged. And I took a breath. Raised my arm. And stabbed my sister. I felt the knife penetrate her ribs. Settle in her chest. Before I pulled it out. Heaving. Knife soaked with blood. Before driving it in again. Higher this time. Feeling a squelch under my hand as the hilt buries in her sternum. Pulling out the knife again. The gravity of the situation hit me. Hard. Blood gushed from the wounds and stained the leather of the couch. Natalia said nothing. But a smile ghosted across her face. As she settled. I dropped the knife to the floor. Blood pulsed from her body. In a steady, rhythmic fashion. That grew softer. And softer. And softer. Collapsing on the couch beside her. I gripped her shoulder and wrapped her in my arms as breaths grew straggled and incongruent. I am a killer. But Natalia was dead long ago. Maybe it was my turn to carry a burden or two. I whispered into her hair. Strangely calm at this epiphany. For you. I move mountains. Duck that. You should have killed your dad instead. I was thinking the same damn thing. SMDH. I was a teenager once. I know what's it like to do shit without thinking properly. Your dad is a piece of shit, and why do I have the feeling they used her for more than getting rid of his grief?